and one of the reasons why I think the military intervention that Trump promised has been delayed is because I think we all need to get to that point where we're just like so desperate for the intervention so that the world doesn't blame America for for making this change, and we say, "Hey, we wanted it." And that's what we're trying to say. That was my little sign yesterday, that we need military backup for Reza Pahlavi because he can't do it on his own. And the thing is, when they talk about internal reform in Iran, the last Shah of Iran was Pahlavi. So if we're gonna fix this from the inside out, we need Pahlavi to continue where we left off, because this Islamic mafia was never from Iran. They hijacked the revolution. This wasn't even Iranian lifestyle. It wasn't Iranian ideology, but our people were naive and they wanted better change, right? They wanted positive change. So they went out in the streets and these guys hijacked the country. They partnered with the communists and the everybody else who was involved in the revolution, but then they started executing them as soon as they got into power. They got all the guns and the weapons and they started oppressing people, and people were so traumatized for years that they thought it'll get better. It's going to get better. It just got worse. So if we're going to do this internally, we need to pick it up where we left off, which was Pahlavi. And any country you look at 50, 60 years ago, they weren't perfect. Their laws weren't perfect. So why do we expect the Shah to have been perfect? But you look at his son now in 2026, this guy, his hands are clean. That's like the most important thing for us. He's not a murderer, never murdered anyone for his cause, which is a big cause, right? It's very important. He's educated, he is democratic. Just watch his interviews and his press conferences. And he's backed up by the former queen of Iran, right? His mom is alive, who I really deeply respect. She's done so many great things for women in Iran. I just think it's so obvious that he is the only option. If there was anybody else who was as brave as him and wanted to take leadership, I would have listened to them as well. For example, we had some victims in the plane crash that happened. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
The families of the victims. We, for a second, like for a few months, we thought that one of these guys is going to become a leader because he wants to avenge for his family, right? But they didn't. They were too traumatized, they were too tired, and they lacked the education. This guy has been trained since he was a little boy about politics. He is a military pilot. Um, he knows what he's doing, you know? So that's why I see a lot of hope, and I just I just hope that it happens.
Yeah, that's true. His whole family is from a royal bloodline. Like he's not going to have any trouble understanding how to take over a country and lead it. And that also goes into why that's one of the unique things about the situation there is most countries when they go into a revolution they do not have anybody they have no certain path forward, and it creates power vacuums a lot of the time, but that's not present here. There's a very stable option to go. And like you said, they hijacked the revolution and they worked with the communists and all that. And that is so true, isn't it? And, when I hear about the Shah, people talk about like some of the negative things they did. It's like, well, everybody does something that people don't like. That's just like you said. Everybody's a human being. Like, you're never going to have a leader that doesn't have something where you're like, well, I wish they would have fine tuned this a certain direction. But that's a lot different than having Adolf Hitler and the Ayatollah in power. That's a completely different thing. And when I look at the Shah, at least from what I know so far, my limited knowledge of Iranian history, it doesn't appear that he was a super oppressive guy either. When they say that he dissented against certain people, those mostly seem to be mullahs and communists, the very people that have proven why he would have not wanted them to be in power in the first place. So it makes perfect sense to me. I don't understand why there would be any other direction. I know they say the MEK is not as big as it used to be, but I've also heard that they're trying to make some kind of weird slip in there. And the thought has crossed my mind a couple times, and now I'm hearing other people say it too, where people need to watch for his protection because they might try to take him out. Do you ever think about that?
Oh yeah. I pray for that man every day
Really?
that God protects him. I mean, like I said, if this doesn't work, we're gonna find another way. But Reza Pahlavi is a very important figure right now in the results of this revolution, you know? He does have his daughters. I'm not sure if they're as trained or educated, but we need to protect this man. And that's why I'm at a phase where I'm collecting donations. He does have a portal where you can support his campaign, and because you have to put yourself in his shoes. It's like this stuff is expensive, and building a whole country is gonna be expensive. And when you put your faith in a leader, you gotta support him all the way. Uh, and the funny thing is, the MEK, we make fun of them because they're just so persistent. Like, they're always around. But they've never been able to communicate themselves with us. You know? They have this weird, as you said, like a cult. They wear the same uniforms. They have the full-on hijab. And then they have communist ideologies. It's funny to me that they think they can win the hearts of Iranians with full on hijab. Like,
Yeah.
can't you see what we've been through?